This is Umar for BoxNation. I'm joined by my good friend Don Charles, who's just come back from Ghana. You're back to work straight away. Jordan Thompson, Harry Armstrong, they've been sparring actually. Joe Joyce, he's got his fight with Usyk-Hrgovic coming up soon. So you're back in the thick of it. But there's only one place to start, and I know you're not someone who goes around shouting about their achievements and stuff. You kind of quite humble in the way you are, Don, but congratulations on winning Boxing News Trainer of the Year, which was presented at the British Boxing Board of Control Awards. Thoroughly deserved. You've done your apprenticeship for nearly 2 decades, Don.
Yes, I have indeed. Yeah, I always advise any up-and-coming coaches, to be patient. If you believe in what you do and you love what you do, first and foremost, you've got to love it, and trust the process. It's very hard, and you will get there in the sense that I always had belief from the day one. I decided I wanted to become a boxing coach, professional boxing coach. I was willing to do the work.
You must have been pleased. I know I said you're very humble, and you probably haven't thought about it much, knowing you a little bit the way you are. But you must be proud of that, surely.
Gosh, most definitely. I'm very proud of it, and like I said, it's not just for me. Knowing what I know now, I want to lead by examples. I want to set examples. I want to encourage, again, all the coaches around the corner. Up and coming coaches, young coaches, how long it's taking me? 25 years. 25 years. I got my professional boxing license. And imagine all the coaches around the country, the amateur coaches who they don't get paid. A lot of these people, it's all voluntary work, and they do it out of love, So this win actually goes out to people like that, because I didn't come through that route, and only because I didn't really know the entrance into what I was doing. It was, when I say by fluke, I thought, I just want to be a coach, and opened my first studio. I thought that was the norm. Yeah, most people go through like doing the amateur circuit as coaches, then learn their trade, learn their craft, then get their professional badge. I didn't do no such thing, because there are no institutes that advises you of that. This is the route. And to think back now, to think what would have happened had I gone the normal route, as in acquainted myself with an amateur club, would I be able to have come through to then become a professional coach to the degree I ended up inheriting and hooking up the fighters that started me off, namely Derek Chisora. So it's really weird, destiny, how when I look back sometimes I think, wow, this maybe would never have happened had I not been ballsy and also being naive on my entrance. It frightens me. I lie there sometimes in bed, I'm thinking, wow, if I didn't take the actions that I did to open my studio, that was my entrance. And then coincidentally, in the same period, I met someone like Derek in a petrol station. So had I not done that and gone the normal route, it's quite frightening. That means there will be not know me. So can you imagine how many coaches in the country that would have gone on to be in my position, but they didn't do what I did? There are sacrifices you have to make. It's not like as simple as opening my studio and then meeting someone. No, I had to make loads of sacrifices. Like I said, it's taken 25 years of my life. I don't regret it because of how I've ended up. Yeah, so when I think about it sometimes, so this goes out to all the coaches around the country, the unsung heroes who train all these amateurs who go on to become Olympians, world champions, but they never get heard of. Yeah, this goes out to them, to the grassroots coaches. I'm representing you guys. I'm representing myself. I'm representing you guys. And I want to... part of my plans going forward, it's all very well winning an award, the recognition. I want to do something with this recognition. I want to establish something where it could be advising people who are just coming into the industry, whether you want to be a professional boxer, amateur boxer, or you want to be a coach. I want to be able to help, to advise people, so so they don't make I've made loads of mistakes. Although I took it upon myself to build my studio. So along the way, in the last one, I've made so many mistakes that if somebody had advised me, then some of those mistakes I made, I wouldn't have made them. So that's what I'm here for. So hit me up.
There you go. Well, I think it's a good point you raised, because there's so many recognised coaches who are in the public eye in the UK, and some very good ones as well. But there are plenty, as you said, top class trainers who aren't known at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make you a bad coach. It's called destiny. It's called decisions that you make in life determines where you end up. Simple as that. I'm no better than you. All it is, like the way my destiny has, I'm destined. I was destined, but I took the initiative. You have to take the initiative and be prepared for hard work and be prepared to make the sacrifices.
Right, before we come on to Daniel Dubois, I mentioned you were in Ghana. Just tell us what you were doing there, and how was that experience going to Ghana?
Yeah, Ghana thing is a place of where everybody in life, whenever you start something, you need to have an idea how you want it to end. Basically, I've always looked on Ghana. I'm a Nigerian, first and foremost, but next door to Nigeria is Ghana. I've always looked on Ghana to a place where I would like to say my retirement home, but I'm one of these people. Will I ever retire from boxing? Probably not. So I'm looking to set up an academy in Ghana, and to where I can, even when I say I'm retired from boxing, I'm not. I'm building an academy to empower, to educate the local people to better their lives and help children who wouldn't otherwise get any education. It's not, this academy is not just, it's a boxing academy, but within that academy setup, there's a program I'm doing with the current government of Ghana, President John Mahama. I'm working with his son Sheriff Mahama of Legacy Rise Sports. We're putting something together where within this academy, you get taught mathematics, English, history, you be taught trades. You learn a trade like plumbing, electrician, engineering, you name it. So that kind of academy, but we do sports. It's a sports academy that enables you to empower yourself to learn a skill. It doesn't have to be, if you don't make it as a footballer or in athletics or whatever, or as a boxer, you've got a trade.
Sounds like a life academy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's basically where I will be doing it. Although I'll be retired doing boxing as we know it, I'm still going to be instrumentally growing the next aiding the next generation.
I know you said it's not specifically about creating the next world champion, etc., within boxing, but I'm sure in Ghana there's a lot of boxing talent.
My goodness. There's an area in particular. This area is the area is called Bukum. Within Bukum is probably about, the area is probably about, it wouldn't exceed 10 kilometers circumference of an area. Within that area, there is about 20 boxing gyms within that 10-kilometer radius. And what I've seen there is very, how can I put it? The facilities, or lack of facilities that these kids, champions that come out of these gyms, people like Richie Cummey, Usyk-Dubois, all these characters, boxers, they all came out of that area, Bukum. It's known for it. Boxing is like a religion there. The great one, we call him the great one, the professor is his nickname, Azuma Nelson. He's from that area. And on my last visit to Ghana, actually, when I met him in his house, and what an honor to have met such a great man, Azuma Nelson. And he had a lot of history. Went to the house. I was in awe of this man. I was like in presence of greatness, So he too will be affiliated and supporting our program that we're trying to do in Ghana.
Good stuff. Brilliant. Well, let's strip it from Ghana to Riyadh and reflect on that experience, which is not the experience you guys wanted, because you'd put in all that hard work in camp. It's come out today that was Daniel Dubois' career highest payday.
Correct.
Against Joseph Parker.
And my highest paid as a coach, the whole team. Yeah. So go ahead. I want jump. Ask me and I'll answer.
So when did you first learn about the illness,
On the Thursday of the fight week.
like everyone else then?
Yes, but I knew before everybody on the
On the
Thursday
internet, yeah.
because our routine when we landed in Riyadh, our routine every 4 p.m. we were booked because there were so many other boxers using the Mike Tyson gym, okay, for their training, fight week, last bit of training. Our allocation for the gym was 4 p.m. every day, Riyadh time. And so every 3:15, 3:20, the whole staff, training staff team, Dubois, will all meet up in the reception in the foyer to be picked up in 3 cars to be taken to the Mike Tyson gym, which is approximately 20 minutes drive from our hotel. Right. Our routine is the same. So on that very Thursday, we all came down to reception, all with our kit, our uniform, everything, as normal. And then I got a phone call from Daniel's father, who was upstairs in his hotel room, saying, "Can I come up for a moment?" And which is kind of immediately I knew something was wrong because normally we're all there. Daniel would then come down. We're very methodical. Our team's well drilled. Yeah, we're very methodical. The fighter himself is very regimented, very methodical. Yeah, he's never late, always on time. So normally we're all there, and then he will come down about 25 past. We all get in the cars and get driven. So we were all waiting. Then his father called me, "Can I come upstairs for a moment?" So I went upstairs. And when I got, he said, "Oh, Daniel's not feeling very well." I said, "Okay." Initially, I thought, okay, it might be something where we could just cancel training. My initial thought was cancel training that particular evening because the training is really done. Yeah, when you go there, and that was actually going to be our last session before the fight, the Thursday evening. And so when I went up there, he said, "Daniel's not well." My initial thought was, okay, we'll rest him up. We don't need to do this session. Rest him up, 2 days rest. And and I looked at him because it turns out the doctors found is that Daniel's already actually had this twice before since I've been training him in the last 18 months. Okay, the first time he had it was in Spain when we was preparing, coincidentally, when I say coincidentally, we were preparing for Usyk. That was our first fight together, and he had it. But the fortunate thing back then is that we still had 4 weeks before the fight. So we were able to rest him for 3, could have been 4 days of non-training, and it came out of his system. We continued training, then we flew to England, then to Poland to fight. It happened again during the preparation for the AJ fight, the most recent fight with Anthony Joshua. Again, we were like 5 weeks out. He had it. Guess what? We recognized it, rested him up.
Why did you pick this up in camp?
Well, something we have to now look into. Something.
And what exactly is it?
Swollen glands.
Yeah.
And then it feels feverish. But when it first comes on, it comes on like a cold, then it gets worse before it gets better. You understand? Yeah? And in record, Shane McGuigan will be my witness. I wasn't training Daniel when he fought the American Trevor Bryan in America. I believe if you speak to Shane McGuigan, he will say that Daniel had it back then. He was ill before that fight, and I'll bet it will be the same thing. So it's something that keeps reoccurring. So obviously something we have to, as a team, we have to go and look into what's causing it. Something is causing it. It could be overtraining, it could be anything, right? So we're gonna look at it because it's just the timing of it this time. The timing of it. Normally, like I said, this happened like 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out. Then you're able to maintain and stop training, get it out of the system, go back to training, and you still got time to fight. This happened 48 hours before the fight. Yeah. And then we didn't want to take any chance when the 2 independent doctors, one of them was a Riyadh seasoned doctor, the other doctor is the board's doctor who's is in charge of the whole show. So he came 25 minutes or so after the first doctor. He examined, he took blood samples from the finger, urine samples, and checked him over ears, everything. He said, no, he's coming down with something, or something in his system. He could see the swollen glands is the most obvious one. And he said, he doesn't recommend that Daniel fights. And you can imagine the disappointment, the shock. It's like, what? And then Daniel at that point said to me, Coach, I want to fight. I looked, I said, then I called his father, who was up in his father's room. I said, look, the doctor has just recommended two of them that he doesn't fight. And there were two, they weren't there at the same time. One came 25 minutes before the second doctor. So they both said the same thing, that they don't recommend. The first doctor gave us antibiotics, which the second doctor said, don't take those. You don't need those because of, it's a viral, whatever. It's not something, it's not contagious, if you know what I mean. So you don't need so the antibiotics that was prescribed by the first doctor, no, don't take those because you don't need it for what he's got. The second doctor said to him, no, you don't need those. Yeah. So then he said, look, I recommend he doesn't fight. I called his dad. His dad said, what did doctors? I said, both doctors have said he doesn't fight. He said, what do you? I said, well, he's not fighting. And the dad second that opinion. He said, well, if he's not well, he's not fighting. Then the dad came down and phoned Frank Warren. I could overhear the conversation. I could actually hear Frank, And Frank also, as a promoter, as a kind human being, he said, can you imagine the disappointment to everybody? Can you imagine the shock that, wow, this shock, because that card was heavily stacked with talent. But the Dubois heavyweight, everybody wants to see a heavyweight. The Dubois and Parker fight was well anticipated by the general public.
Especially here.
Exactly. So, can you imagine the disappointment for everybody? And for Parker himself, he's trained for this fight. Like you do, like the same way we have our mindset, we've got the perfect game plan to beat Parker, to beat him up. He too would have had the same game plan and ambitions to become a world champion should he be successful against us. So everybody, imagine the shock they would have had when they said, oh, Dubois pulled out. Yeah? So it's shock for everybody. And obviously, it was frantic for everybody to then, Frank and His Excellency, to try and get, it's not just about replacement, the right replacement. They're scrambling to get the right name that will prop up where people, to satisfy the general public, they have bloodthirst to satisfy. So the name Bakoli came up, which people didn't complain that. I said, you know what? Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. So that kind of blocked that void.
Well, I saw TalkSport on the day. They said it was a tougher fight than Daniel Dubois.
Who said that?
On TalkSport put that out.
Well, that's their opinion. Bakoli is apparently the most feared, is the undisputed sparring partner. Yeah, granted, he's the undisputed gym fighter. So, but credit to him, he stepped up. You don't get any shorter notice than that. Got on the plane and, literally the poor guy wouldn't have had any sleep and stepped off the plane. Next minute, you're wearing a pair of gloves in the ring.
Daniel's gloves.
Well, that doesn't sit well with us. After we didn't know anything about that, so afterwards I said, that's a bad omen in the sense that why are you wearing our gloves? Who gave you permission? Get Daniel. Certainly, we weren't aware of it, So anyway, he got in the ring and what happened. But credit to him for stepping up.
So Don, what you said there has actually altered my question a little bit because you said that he's picked this up before in previous camps, the same kind of illness. I was going to ask you about going to Saudi, to Riyadh, maybe 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, the fight itself. And look, it's only a couple of hours time difference. I'm not talking about the time difference, but there are a lot of people who have gone to these Riyadh season shows and picked up sort of bug. I don't know if there's a climate out there. So should you have, looking back on it, gone back 3 weeks ago?
In hindsight, but in the future, should we get a fight? I've had this conversation about 3 different, you're the 4th person. It's recommendation. It's only common sense. Like, should we fight in Riyadh again? Then, yeah, we're going to look into perhaps going there earlier, okay? Because the conditions are, air condition is everywhere. And you can't really walk the streets. Have you walked the streets?
Not in the daytime.
No, because it's sandy, it's dusty, and it's not really kind to an athlete to be inhaling that, so you're kind of confided to your hotel, to the gym, to everywhere you go. We don't go many places, but everywhere you go, there's air conditioning. So something we're going to look into. It could be anything. It could be a factor. But yeah, we're going to look into it. Should we get to fight in Riyadh again in the future? Yeah, it's something we're going to look into. Maybe going there a little bit earlier.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying it would have made a difference. You could have gone there
Who
3 weeks
knows?
before,
Who
and
knows?
he could have still
Yeah.
picked it up on fight week.
Who knows? Who knows? So, but it's something we're gonna look into here because it's a reoccurring thing. So there's something in his system, an illness or whatever that causes it, triggers it. Something triggers it off. So we need to get to the bottom of it.
Right, Don. A couple of days ago, I spoke to Andy Lee, who of course is Joseph Parker's trainer, and the opening comment he made to me about this situation, which I then gave some questions to, which I'll tell you in a second, was that he thought it was suspicious how everyone was talking about the Usyk rematch, i.e., everyone in the media, people in boxing, people there in Riyadh, literally hours after this fight was cancelled because Daniel had to withdraw with that illness. So then I said to Andy, which is what you've just said here as well, 2 independent doctors, a British Boxing Board of Control one and a Saudi doctor, looked at him and said to not fight. And I also said Daniel wouldn't have gone for a whole camp, incurring a lot of expenses, and then decided 48 hours before he would have pulled out. Now, I'm just going to play you some clips from what Andy said back to this, because just give you kind of a right of response to this. 1 sec.
Who's the doctor? No, we haven't heard from the doctor. Who's the doctor? No, we haven't heard from the doctor. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything. And the money that you spend in camp, well, you're going to make twice as much money to buy Usyk. There's been no real proof of the illness to Daniel Dubois. I don't know what proof you're going to get anyway, but it is suspicious when that day, even the next day, they're talking about him fighting Usyk. Of course, you've been thinking, they've got wind of this. They heard that the Usyk fight might happen, and why risk fighting Joseph, who's in great form? But I would say that's down to his preparation. When you arrive into Saudi Arabia a week before, and you're training every day, we went there 3 weeks before. We experienced team, experienced camp. I'm not saying they're not experienced, but there's ways to do things, especially when you're traveling now. It's only a 3-hour time difference to adjust to, but it's a long flight, and that takes its toll on your body. And this is a whole new environment, and you've got to prepare for that. But
So there's a few things he said there.
Yeah,
So,
I'm quite good at listening.
so let's dissect the first one in that the stuff about incurring all the costs for camp and wasting all that money, and a camp, especially for a magnitude of this fight, costs a lot. Trust me, from the sort of the figures that I've been told around various camps. But he's saying if you're fighting Oleksandr Usyk next, that's the biggest fight in the division. Not going to really worry about this camp's cost. So do you want to respond to that point firstly?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm very, very disappointed. This is going out to Andy direct. I'm very, very disappointed, and I understand your frustration. I really do, you and your fighter Joe. But I'm very disappointed in the stance that you're taking, to the degree you're questioning the doctor, in the sense that it's quite simple, Andy. All you got to do, you and your management team, contact the British Boxing Board of Control. The doctor is, I can't have his name, I don't have his name firsthand. Contact the British Boxing Board of Control and find out which doctor carried out these examinations on Daniel Dubois. Then will you see the certification from their findings. That's very, very straightforward. It's not like we've gone and got our own independent doctor, like a GP, to examine Daniel. This is a highly ranked doctor who's actually in charge of the whole show. That's who examined Daniel. The Riyadh doctor I can't vouch for because he's a Riyadh doctor, yeah? The British Boxing Board of Control certified doctor who works for the board, and apparently he's in charge of the whole show. It's not hard. If I can do my own research to get the gentleman's name, the doctor's name, and I will gladly send it to you guys. Spencer Brown, whom I respect highly, is Joseph Parker's manager, I believe.
Yeah.
It's quite simple. Go to the board, who govern all of us. We're licensed by the board, so are you licensed by the board, British Boxing Board of Control. to get that information, if I were you, go to them, they'll give you that information on the doctor's findings. So I'm very disappointed about you saying it's suspicious. Suspicious in one sense that, yes, Daniel Dubois spent a fortune in camp like he always does. He's a world champion. That's what you do. It's part of the expenditure. Okay, that's compulsory to spend money in camp. With regards to dropping this fight, to jump. Think of, I'm a logical man. I'm everything I do is there's a logic to it. Think about the logic. Think about what you're saying and think about the logic that will go to the troubles, like you said, of paying for a camp, flying the whole team, costing the production, the flight fees for the Team Dubois, the hotel rooms, everything, yeah? To then go to Riyadh and then to then abort mission in that 48 hours because who's told us to do that? Well, we told ourselves to pull out from Daniel Dubois' highest career earning. I'm not going to disclose the figure, okay, but it's pretty high, okay, something he's never ever earned before. It was my highest percentage as a coach that I would have earned, right? And collectively, we're going to say, oh, we don't want to fight suddenly, yeah, because of what? Yeah, I'm really disappointed in you, my friend, yeah, because things are logical in life. That's what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying properly. It's not logical. No, we didn't do what you're assuming that we did. No, it's just the way things are panned out. Because I believe because Daniel Dubois went previously to challenge Usyk. You remember
In the ring.
incident? Yeah. Okay. All right. Again, I'm not going to go into that. Daniel didn't wake up one day, you know what, I'm going to get on the plane, I'm going to take my belt, I'm going to go to Riyadh, I'm going to jump in the ring, I'm going to challenge Usyk. Think about it, okay? And when you're a champion, that's what happens. All previous champions have done such things. Okay, the timing, when I say the timing, as in when he approached Usyk in that ring, maybe should have waited for Usyk to finish his interview. He was being interviewed,
Correct.
And he intervened. The timing of that perhaps is wrong, but the actual idea, that's what every champion of previous have done. You go to the fight okay, we had a fight pending. Yes, we did.
So he wasn't overlooking Joseph Parker?
No, hell no. I think I've answered this in previous interviews. No, we were looking through you, my friend. I'm so disappointed as I sit here that this fight didn't actually happen because we wanted to. This is not me being. I'm not known for this, yeah. But when I will come out fighting, anyone who triggers me, I'll come out fighting, yeah. For me, for my fighter, okay. Get it out of your mind, simple mind, that we docked you. No such thing happened. My kid got ill. What do you want? Unfortunately, of the timing, he got ill. It's just one of those things. Yeah? In contrast to you, I said Joe's been on record saying that he was ill when he fought Joe Parker said he was ill, and he got his ass knocked out. So, you think I'm going to let my guy and his father, yeah? Most people would have probably put money first before health. No, you live to fight. I know they were terribly disappointed that we didn't showcase what we've been working on. Okay, the style you guys are doing, it's easy to penetrate. Daniel Dubois would have penetrated your guy and knocked his ass out. Don't get me started because it's easy to, because I wear my heart on my sleeve and I'm glad I do. Yeah, be quiet. Stop all your nonsense, all your suspicions and that. Keep winning. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, both of you. You're doing great, and I'm sure. I'm not a governing body. I am not a promoter. I'm a trainer. Carry on winning. We plan on carrying on winning, and should we meet, you will meet you. Then, no matter what you said, no matter what I said, those two will meet in the future. So just keep winning.
Right, so you or anyone from Dubois' team, Frank Warren, they're not obliged to do this at all. And for the record as well, Frank promotes Joseph Parker as well. He's a Queensberry fighter. You're not obliged to do this, but you're saying you're happy to show the doctor's note to Andy or anyone from Team Parker.
Listen, my friend, yeah, contact the governing bodies, contact Frank Warren, who's also Joe's promoter, contact the British Boxing Board of Control, and can we see the doctor's findings, please? I'm not a doctor. Yeah, I merely took the doctor's advice. Who used the word recommend. When someone says to you, recommend. It's still up to you. He's recommending. It doesn't say you must not fight. He said, I recommend. Go and look up this is going out to Andy Lee. When somebody says, I recommend, okay, we opted not to fight, pull that guy out because he shouldn't let an ill man. And guess what? Good job we did, because he got worse the next day and the following day, right? It's like having flu. When you first start feeling like your flu, you're achy and everything. The next day is bad. The following days and 3-4 days after that, depending on what type of flu you've got. Yeah.
If he fought with that illness, knowing how bad he was yourself, do you think he'd have lost to Parker?
Who am I to sit here and say potentially? Because think about it. You might go in there. Although you're incredibly fit, yeah, and Daniel's an aggressive fighter, yeah, he might go in there 3-4 rounds, and if Parker stood there, let's say, for instance, yeah, the illness kicks in, then you fatigue during the fight because you're ill, not because you're not fit, because you're ill, and then we go and lose our title, yeah, and then come afterwards, oh, he was ill, our boy was ill.
He would have got slaughtered.
Then we would have got absolutely ridiculed. No. Thank you. So therefore, we're smart. So pack up and behave yourself.
Okay. And his comments, where do you stand on that regarding, it's suspicious because the Usyk rematch is there for you guys? Where do you stand on that bit before we move on?
It's not, no one's guaranteed us anything. As I sit here, there is no, I swear I value my life a lot, yeah? Although I'm getting old, yeah? Okay, I want to live longer, all right? Okay, as I sit here, I don't know who our next opponent, that's gospel truth. I don't know. Because I wait till the Frank and the Daniel's manager happens to be his father. Okay, when they tell me this is who we're fighting, yeah, then I train my fighter to fight that person. As I sit here, I don't know who we're fighting. I haven't got a clue.
How would that fight with Parker have gone? A fully fit, Daniel Dubois?
Well, there's only one thing I'm going to say, my friend. Everybody have it. They had their game plan. I know he would have had to get to Daniel. He has to deal with that missile ramrod of a jab. Joseph Parker could not negate that jab. I haven't seen anyone in sparring or in combat that could negate that jab. You're going to have to get past that jab. Yeah? Okay, and he would have got jacked up, in my opinion. Joseph would have got jacked up.
Early stoppage, yeah?
It would have got stopped. Whether it's early or late, it would have got stopped. But from a fit Daniel Dubois, fit in the sense, he's fit, a Daniel Dubois will absolutely destroy a and fit Joseph Parker.
No, you're right. As his trainer, you just do the work in the gym. The father, the manager, Frank is promoter, and Daniel makes the decisions. Obviously, if it's on a Riyadh season show, then His Excellency will say, "I want you to fight him." Blah blah blah. But from your perspective, what do you want? Do you want the Oleksandr Usyk rematch? Do you want Joseph Parker? What do you want in your heart for Daniel?
In my hearts and hearts, I want the Usyk rematch. Yes, if I'm given an option, hell yeah, who wouldn't? If the roles was reversed, they were in our position, they too would want that. Yeah, of course. There's an unfinished business with Mr. Usyk. There is, from Poland. It's unfinished business. And I used my right hand this time. Last time I did it, I used my left hand. I salute Usyk because if that happens to be the next fight, yeah, he's a man, because a lot of guys would not go back to the crime scene or scene of the crime.
To be fair, he called out Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. Everybody heard it. So remarkably, again, I salute you, sir, because that's the mark of the man, because this guy's done everything. He's done everything in boxing, Usyk. Yeah, one of the generational greats. He will go down as. No matter what happens now, he's a great, right? He's done it. You know what I mean? So remarkable that he's come out publicly and said he wants 2 fights, isn't it?
Two more fights. Yeah.
He said, I don't know who the other one is. He said he wants to fight Daniel and whoever. I don't know.
How would you feel about the WBO being not on the line? Because Usyk Parker's been ordered, and if Usyk and Dubois have a rematch, I think it's very likely the WBO won't be on the line. So it won't be an undisputed fight. Does that even matter to you?
No.
So it'd be fair if Joseph Parker is either upgraded to WBO champion.
That's how we got our belt.
Yes.
The IBF Daniel currently gets is Usyk was asked, he has to drop it within exactly what the WBA have done. And he had to relinquish that belt, which allowed us to fight. Hrgovic was promised, because he's been waiting and waiting. He was promised that he's going to fight Daniel for a world title. Then they removed it on night and it became an interim title, which we won. Then Daniel was promoted, Yeah, that could potentially. I've heard that WBO have opted to put that on him too. That could be the case. Good luck to them. Good luck to them. Well, okay, yes, it would take a little bit of to be on the. But Daniel's young, Fight Usyk. It's not just. I'm not a hypocrite when I say it's not about the belts. Even if you remove the belts, we'll still fight Usyk. How about that?
What I'm saying, there would be 3 belts on the line, and Parker,
of course, including
will either
IBF.
be upgraded or he might have to fight someone for the title.
That could possibly happen. Who am I? I'm not a governing body. I'm not a promoter. I'm a coach. So therefore, what will be will be. When my boy is well, he will get in that ring and take his frustrations out on the next opponent.
When do you expect him back in the gym? Do you know?
He will resume training from next Monday.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Daniel's always in the gym. He's always in the gym.
Okay. Well, whether it's an Usyk rematch, a Joshua rematch, Parker, it's a massive fight for Daniel.
It does, absolutely. Guess what? He's still the IBF heavyweight champion of the world.
Right, before we close off, I just want to mention Joe Joyce and Usyk-Hrgovic, because you were, of course, in charge for Daniel when he beat Usyk-Hrgovic, which was a big, big win. People forget that win. Everyone looks at the Joshua fight, which was incredible, but the Usyk-Hrgovic win, who was unbeaten going into that, rated on the scene as one of the best heavyweights in the world, was a very, very good win against Usyk-Hrgovic, who now goes in against Joe Joyce. How do you read that fight?
Wow. That's a very good fight. They're both coming off the back of losses. Joe is coming off the back of a loss to Derek Chisora. And Usyk-Hrgovic, obviously, the last time he fought us was his last outing. So it's a very good matchup. They fought once before, as you know, in the WSB series.
Correct, Joe won.
And Joe won on points, right? I see a similar fight. They're both professional boxers now, experienced and seasoned professional boxers. And it's going to be a very entertaining fight. Hard to call a winner, as I sit here, and that's gospel truth, because they're both, you don't know where they're at from their previous fights. Joe didn't get stopped. He got dropped later by
against Derek, but he went the distance.
He got up, he finished on his feet. Right, and Philip got stopped. So you don't know where they're at mentally.
Do you think Daniel took something out of Philip in that fight?
Most definitely. It broke his heart, because Philip's talk all through the build, it was too confident. I'm not asking people not to be confident, but it was overconfident. We were confident, but you have to hold back on certain things that was said unnecessarily by Philip. He underestimated Daniel. He looked at him as a little boy, and that little boy came back and hurt him.
Well, I know you've been seeing Joe spar, your boys, Harry Armstrong and Jordan Thompson. I'm sure have been giving him good work done.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I have to tell you, Joe's just looking good in the gym, The juggernaut is looking good in the gym. My heart, if you ask me who do I think will win, I cannot sit on the fence, but my heart says to me, of course, Joe, I want Joe to win this. He needs to win this. He deserves to win this in the sense that he's put a lot into. I'm not saying Philip for a moment hasn't put into boxing. Yes, he has, but I'm talking about a homeboy. And he's a dear friend, Joe, and I really, such a nice man. I really want him to win this for a lot of reasons.
How do you think Jordan Thompson will fare at heavyweight?
Jordan has always been a heavyweight. As you know, we worked together, then we separated. He's been absent from me for about 2.5 years, coming up to potentially 3 years.
I don't know how he made cruiserweight.
I don't know how he made it, even at the time. But it's more apparent that this kid he's 3 years older than when he was working with me. So naturally you fill out. So he's a natural heavyweight, 6'7", and watch this space. It's not actually public. You're probably the first that public is telling that he's back with me. We're back together. So watch this space. JT, the troublesome one, is in town. He's back as a heavyweight. Watch this space.
Well, listen, Don, appreciate your time. You are a heavyweight specialist, and you've got three guys all at different levels in Daniel Dubois, Harry Armstrong,
Harry, sorry, I felt it.
and Jordan Thompson.
Harry is fighting on the fight zone. Dennis Hobson, Spencer Oliver,
At Stamford
Roy
Bridge.
Jones at Stamford Bridge, and USA versus England. So get behind the boys. Get behind the England boys, and my boy being one of them, Harry, the dirty Harry Armstrong.
Yeah, as I said, you're a heavyweight specialist, and you've got three really good ones at different levels. So exciting times for you. Again, congratulations on your award from the board, and very much appreciate your time. We'll speak soon.
Most definitely. God bless you.
God bless you too.